In this tutorial, you'll learn how you can guard against launching a wrong AI/ML model in production. So these days, AI models are now being deployed almost on an hourly basis, but their compliance reviews have to be weekly or maybe even once a month. So EU AI Act require continuous monitoring for multi-year deployments with proper audit trails. So manual processes really cannot keep up with the speed at which we are deploying AI models in production. And one such violation can probably cost companies millions of dollars. There is a need of an automated AI governance where as soon as the models are being shipped into production, we can look for compliance check. And if there's a violation in the compliance, we block the model from going into production. So for this demo, we are using open source projects such as KitOps, Open Policy Agent for Rego-based policies to check for compliance gaps within the models, and then securely deploying our model as a model kit into OCI compliant registry like Jozu Hub. So let's go through the demo. So this is an automated AI governance demo where the developer pushes code and the GitHub action automatically packs the model kit with the help of KitOps, and then it validates them against OPA based policies. It checks for things such as compliance, approval, expiration, and EU AI bias threshold. So either it deploys to Jozu Hub or it blocks the push. So thanks for no longer needing manual reviews, and you don't need to maintain spreadsheets. You just need to have an infrastructure that can refuse to deploy a non-compliant model. So let's go through this model quickly. So what we have here in our demo is we have 4 different types of kit files essentially that are the model kit blueprints, and each one of them defines a fraud detection model with different compliance statuses. And these are the parameters which are then fed as JSON to our open policy agent based policies, which are written in Rego. So here, as we mentioned, that there are 4 different types of examples of kit files, which we'll use in the demo. 3 will be blocked and 1, which is the compliant one, will get pushed into Jozu Hub. And now let's talk about our policies. So these are the different policies that we have written in Rego. And what essentially is happening is that all of them are checking for different things. One checks for license, one validates the application, approval dates, and another one enforces the EU AI bias thresholds, and then the GitHub action that we will run orchestrates all of them against the different Git files that we have created. And now when we talk about, let's say, the GitHub action, let's go through our workflow as well. So here, this is our entire YAML, which we have defined. And in order to dive deeper into this, let's go over here. So we trigger the workflow whenever we are pushing any code to production. And then we have 4 different scenarios. So we check out the repository, we set up the Git CLI with the help of the GitHub actions for KitOps. We pack our model kit and we just run git pack command. Then we set up our open policy agent. We run it against all of the 4 different capabilities that we have defined. So we have 4 different open policy agents for license, for validating the application, the approval dates, and one for the EU AI bias act. And then by running them all together, we generate a final policy summary and we determine whether all of them have passed or not. Now, if they have passed, then we log in into our OCI compliant registry. We push the model kit and we also sign it and have proper attestation so that we have proper governance results. And in case the open policy agent fails, then we just block the deployment and we show the workflow to fail. So that's our entire GitHub action workflow, which is going to be running. So let's go and take a look here and trigger a new workflow, which we will go ahead and run. So here we'll go to our action and we will go ahead and manually run this workflow. So now this workflow will begin to run. So if we just refresh, we can start to see that this is our workflow which is running. So we have 4 different types of action runs here. And what we'll see is that these are the different type of checks. So in this case, you can see that some of them already get blocked, and you can also see the reason for why they failed. So in this case, this was blocked because of policy violation. 2 different other examples which are also being blocked for. And here we have 4 different scenarios which are running in parallel. So we have one for bias violation. We have one for an expired approval. and we have one for a license violation. So essentially what we're doing is that we are looking for compliant fraud detection. We are checking for a partial license or whether there is a new one which is required. And then we also check for a demographic parity of 0.75, and one is below the 0.80. That is why it fails. But if you look at the fourth one, which did pass, so here it also passed all of the different policies, and then we were able to push it to Jozu Hub and also set up cosign to have proper attestation. So here, if you see, this is our model kit that was actually deployed to Jozu Hub, which runs perfectly fine. So this is the job which is complete, and it passes all of the policies and it automatically gets pushed to Jozu Hub. But for the bias violation and all of the other violations that we saw, those particular deployments do get blocked. So the different violations that we have mentioned have been described here. If you take a look that for blocking bias violation, the main reason would be that in case the demographic parity is below 0.8, for blocking an expired approval, if in case the approval date is older than 90 days, and then the license violation is in case specific type of violation for a license like GPL3 is not in the allowed licenses. So these are the different types of scenarios that we're looking at based on our Rego policies, and in case they don't get matched, then we block the deployment of our AI model. So this is a quick demo of this entire workflow, which is completely open source and available in this repository. So we will share the link of the repository in our video link. So here is like a clear example of how we can use open source tooling to make compliance checks for AI models being pushed into production a lot more easier, where we are automatically being able to check them for compliance needs, and in case they don't meet the compliance needs, then we block the deployment and the relevant changes can be made. So this makes it a lot easier for us to be able to manage our AML models and ensure that they are always compliant.